Tagovailoa. The Buffalo Bills were the champions of the AFC East last year. I expect they will be the champions of the AFC East yet again this year, and the Buffalo Bills knocked it out of the park. Their first two picks taken edge rushers, I criticized it at the time, but now that I think back to it, I'm kind of going to what you said during the draft. Just get them all. Get all the edge rushers that you possibly can. Gregory Rousseau with their first pick, 30th overall in the first round, and then Carlos Basham Jr., the edge rusher out of Wake Forest, going to them in the second round. Now, you've got that as their best pick, Jeremy, Carlos Basham Jr. Why do you think that's their best pick?
He's the safer of the two. Carlos Basham is no doubt in my mind, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of people have talked about, they took two edge rushers. These are the replacements to Jerry Hughes, and I'm not as sold on that. I think Greg Rousseau is going to be a replacement to either Mario Addison or Jerry Hughes. I think they plan on playing Carlos Basham on the inside. And I'm going to like that a lot because that's going to mean you can get after quarterbacks with four guys.
Yep.
Ed Oliver, Carlos Basham, Jerry Hughes, Mario Addison, and Gregory Rousseau. That's a rotation of five guys. You play four at a time. They're going to get after quarterbacks. I'm not sure that you're not going to get just demolished in the run game, though. That's my fear. The reason I like the Basham pick, he's better against the run than anybody I just said, and it's not close. Mm-hmm. So that's the reason I like the Basham pick. Now, Rousseau was he was universally said to be the most likely to bust player in the first round. Mm-hmm. I love the talent. I'm super high on the kid. I'm not dinging him for that. Mm-hmm. What I am dinging him for is that I almost had Spencer Brown as their best pick. And then it just got DeMar Hamlin is fine. Rashad Wildgoose, it's fine. This is one of those draft classes, and you see these every year. I feel like you added a bunch of guys that are going to have a role. I just don't know if you added an impact guy at any point.
Mm-hmm. And Buffalo was a team.
And in a division where all three of the other teams did, you're going to get dinged on that.
Yeah. Now, Buffalo was a team going into the draft that probably had they were probably top five in least needed people to continue the path that they're on. What we talked about was they needed to get after the rusher. I think they addressed that.
Agreed, but here's the thing that I don't think people are thinking about. With the Bills, you're going to have Josh Allen's getting the big deal. Yeah. It's coming. Yeah. I mean, you got one more offseason before you have to pay him.
Yeah.
So what you have to do with picks like this, that's why I like the Spencer Brown pick.
Yeah.
Spencer Brown to me is safe as shit. Because no matter what, you're going to find a spot for him because he's a 6'8" mountain of a man that's athletic enough. He'd be a guard. Worst case scenario, you just penciled in a guard for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
My fear when you go swinging for the fences like this, you take a guy like Greg Rousseau, and this is your fifth-year option guy this year. So this is your cheap talent when Josh Allen gets the deal. Well, Greg Rousseau is probably the riskiest player in this draft. High end is great. Low end is he's out of the league in 3 years because he showed up to his pro day looking like Fat Albert. And here's what that tells me. You spent a year away from the team and you gained weight and you were out of shape. What's going to happen when you get paid? Mm-hmm. So you get paid and you're telling me that you're going to work hard. You had not gotten paid and you were away from the team and somebody being on top of you and you plumped up. That tells me that you're likely to do that when you get the check.
Right.
Would you like to have seen a little bit more focus from them?
Safe.
On the offensive line?
I would like when you're, and this is going to sound really strange because I agree with what he said.
Yeah.
That it's not that you need a whole lot of things. What you're going to need in a year when you have to pay Josh Allen, you're going to need cheap talent. Now you're running thin of that. I mean, there's a path where you look at the last three draft classes and go, you didn't necessarily add a whole lot of guys that are going to be cheap for the long haul, which means you're going to have to try to replace them in free agency or you're going to have to take more swings in the draft. I just don't love that.
Yeah.
I don't love everything Brandon Beane did. Now, if it works, then, this is the grade that's the most volatile, at least in the AFC East. Because you could tell me 3 years from now that they get an A+ because they hit two premier pass rushers. Yeah. Spencer Brown's a starter on the offensive line, and Marquez Stevenson has a valuable role as a third wide receiver in this on this team.
Right.
Or you could tell me two of these guys are out of the league. Yeah. One of them's a rotational piece, and they had to draft another one to try to replace the one that's out of the league.
Mm-hmm. The Buffalo Bills, I think, are on the path to win the AFC East again. Another good crop. There are not too many bad classes of draft picks this
No,
year.
the thing that you're going to find is that I've never given out fewer Fs. I've never given out more A's.
Yeah,
This is the most A's I've ever given out.
Well, I think it was just the absolute depth